Unmuted.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, friends. So I think you are all on mute. Um, Maybe for timing, I'll try to unmute all of you. Yeah, hi. Good evening, friends.
Hi, good evening. Good morning.
Very good to see all of you to participate as part of this discussion on introduction to big data. Hadoop.
Yeah.
Let me put all of you on mute again. Good evening once again, friends. This is Srinivas. And I have about 18 years of industry experience. I started my career as a hardcore C programmer, and I moved to Java when it has been launched to the market. When Java has been launched to the market, I moved to Java. Is someone trying to join? Yeah, that's great, wonderful. So I moved to Java when it has been launched to the market, and all these years, very happy to share with you. All these years, I'm a part of the same. You call it as a platform, language, technology ecosystem. Very happy to share. I was able to travel with the same ecosystem all these years, and I moved to this big data space about 7 years back, when I started talking about this big data. Most of my colleagues and people technically associated with me, hey Srinivas, every time you bring something new, we don't understand. Believe me, I was able to realize the importance of this big data platform quite some time back. Because myself being a great lover of open source technologies, I used to focus on every new thing that happens in the Apache community. I was able to see the real potential of this big data, especially the Hadoop and its related components, how they are trying to establish themselves. That time itself, I realized the potential of this big data and how it is going to be very essential and a needy thing to every small or big organization, either working with huge volumes of data or little volumes of data. How this kind of platform is going to become an essential platform in order to crunch the data. So knowing its ability and being the technologies developed on Java front, I was able to migrate to those things very easily. And last 7 years, I was able to mature my skill set again on big data space, especially uh, Hadoop and all its components, whatever we have. I was really happy to share with you, friends. You were able to do that thing. And this is all the technical front of my expertise. And the other side, this training or this teaching is a passion to me from the beginning. In some other form, I feel this knowledge sharing is something which gives me the immense satisfaction all the times. So in some or other form, I used to be a part of this training from the beginning of my career, shelling out the knowledge. That's how I can claim, I proudly claim how much industry experience I have. Almost the same experience I have even in training. That's where I was able to mature my skill set one way and share the same thing in improving the resources, the skill set of the resources. So training is something which gives me immense satisfaction. That's the reason why usually, you know, a couple of hours I spend on training front every day, even today. And this is one good thing and one good area which makes me, to mature my skill sets, which are very hot in the industry, though they may not be useful to me immediately at my workplace, but as they are very needy in the industry, I was able to mature my skill set being a part of this training industry. So very happy to share with you both my industry and the training expertise will definitely help you out in maturing your skill sets to shape up your career and to begin with the big data space. Hope my introduction has given you some basic understanding of what you are going to do in the coming days with us and what sort of sessions that you can expect from us. All the sessions are going to be practical, live. They're not going to be just the theoretical stuff. Running a PPT is something of that sort. I'm not against the PPT, but still I feel practical sessions are going to create a lot of confidence in you. Most of you being working professionals, you'll not be finding much time. So my session should minimize your effort in maturing your skill set. That's what the ultimate goal of TechyBees in developing these kind of sessions. So as part of the today's discussion, I would like to bring to your notice a couple of things. One, to make you to understand what is big data and how this big data is well connected to Hadoop, what relationship exists between big data and Hadoop. If at all, if there is any relationship, we decide that whether any relationship exists between big data and Hadoop. If at all, if there is some relation, what sort of relation exists between big data and Hadoop? As part of the Hadoop ecosystem, what components you have, and how we are going to deal the course in the coming days, what we are going to cover as part of this program, we see that aspect. So with three simple aspects for today's discussion: what is big data and how big data is connected to Hadoop. Second, Hadoop and its ecosystem. And third, the course details. So let us discuss these things in detail so that it makes sense. Our time will be productive. So before we dive into the discussion of what is big data, I love to hear from your end your understanding about big data. Because when you have decided to attend this demonstration, you might have done some homework, or you might have gone through some documents, or very long before you might have done some preparatory work, or when you're going through some document, because this is one big buzz that is happening on the internet all the times. Every company talking, every skilled resource, every experienced resource talking about this one, big data. So definitely you might have framed up something in your mind. So I would like to hear from your end, what is your view towards big data? Please feel free, friends, to my colleagues will help you in unmuting you so that you can express your views. Ilyas, can you please help so that they can express their views? You can unmute them. Yeah, friends. So you can do.
Hi. Arun, you already have an access where you can unmute yourself?
Yes, yes.
Great.
So
All right, please go ahead.
I am unmuted, everyone. Now, please keep yourself on mute. Friends, please keep yourself on mute. Who wish to talk, you can unmute and you can speak, and then you can mute yourself. That would be great. Wonderful, friends. Friends, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So this is Arun. Um, Basically, I have been working a lot on SQL Server, Oracle, RDBMS, and Access, and those kind of databases, Oracle applications, CRM tools, and also data warehousing. And we are planning to go into Hadoop in a big way. So I'm totally new to Hadoop. All I hear is everybody's talking about Hadoop going into big data. We have some new projects coming up. So I want to get into what is this Hadoop? What are the advantages of Hadoop?
Wonderful to
That's
hear.
what I.
So, what is your view? So, I mean, as we are trying to get into this one, you might have framed up some idea in the mind. What is your view towards big data?
So my thing is, it is as the data, as the information or data is growing, some of the databases like Oracle or SQL Server, there is some limitation in terms of what can be stored or how soon stuff can be retrieved. So my understanding is that when you have such unstructured and large volumes of data, Hadoop has got a better way of providing the information whatever is being asked from the database. That's the idea I get from Hadoop.
Yeah,
And
that's really wonderful. Arun, right? If I'm not wrong, Arun?
that's correct.
Wonderful, Arun. I really appreciate. I mean, see, my intention of asking you this question is to understand what is your perspective towards big data, because something which you are already aware, if I share the same thing, it makes no much sense. You spend your valuable time in taking up this demo. That's the reason why I would like to take few inputs from your end. What is your perspective or your view towards big data? I really appreciate it. Wonderful. Yeah, Sri?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you, absolutely. Yeah. Hi, Sri.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, great.
Uh, Basically, I'm here to find out a perfect training place where my wife has been interested to learn something about something regarding databases, and she already is familiar with it. I'm trying to find a correct tutor who can help us with this, her with advanced ones like Hadoop and all that kind of stuff. And so I happened to find out that TechyBees do some training. When Samir approached, immediately I planned to enroll here. So and he gave me very good speech about it, and then I like the course content that you are covering. So I'm just here to see that how it goes, and if it's all good, and we'll enroll, and then I will let her take the course from you.
That's really,
I mean, say, I would like to see that how it is going from your side. Okay.
yeah, that's really wonderful, Sri. I appreciate. Now, I appreciate your interest in evaluating, to help your wife in getting the right trainer to mature a skill set. I really appreciate your patience. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, that's wonderful.
I'm trying to be honest here. Okay.
Yeah,
Complete honest.
and I really appreciate. And I'll
Yeah.
see, I'll try my best to give you the best possible in the industry. So our core intention is the same, like what you are expecting. So most of
Yeah.
the stuff that I do in this session, I want it to be practical rather than running a PPT. That is one thing I would like to bring to all of your notice. See, I'm not against to PPT, and it's
Yeah.
not my interest to say that I don't use PPT, but the PPT should be helpful to me only to give you the concept which you can
Yeah.
visualize better. But PPT should not drive the session. That's what my core intention. That's
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah. So what is your view, Sri, towards big data? I mean, when
Yeah. Regarding that topic, like from the very beginning, like you, I've been in the industry for almost like same like you. So
wonderful.
my and my name is also Srinivas, to just to some extent.
Oh, that's a
So
coincidence. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
yeah. So my when I saw from the beginning that about relational databases very long ago, right? When we started, it was Oracle 7, something like that. It was there. So
Yeah.
from then, it was always an issue to load the large volume. I used to work for banks, automating some foreign exchange systems. It's a high volume places.
Yeah.
So it always looked like, it's a hurdle there to, get the data quickly and get the, load the data into it also quickly. It's a big issue all the time. And on top of that, not many systems, like Power Builder in those days and all, Visual Basic, they are not able to get the best of the database either. First of all, they are like a very handicapped,
Yeah.
and on top of that, whatever they could offer is also not being given to the client, presented to the client in a interesting way.
Yeah.
So that since then I've been thinking, then all of a sudden the era started, right? Google
Yeah.
and all, and they were showing the data so quickly and fast,
Yeah.
and without knowingly about Hadoop being in the background,
Yeah.
it started. It was admiring the way it has been put.
Yes.
So that's the reason I always wanted. Even my wife wanted to showed some interest on database. I showed her some part instead of me teaching. I'm not a great teacher. Instead of me teaching anything, so I showed her some PowerPoints or the YouTube teachers,
Yeah.
and then I found that like they're all just to give the basics of it. Okay. Now once she understood the basics of all the tables and all that kind of stuff, now I thought of giving you showing you the teacher who can give the Hadoop and then move on from there. So that is the basic illusion.
That's really wonderful, Srinivas. In fact, call myself again. I could see, really wonderful to hear from your end. So, as been mentioned by me, um, so we do most of the training through very practical means, so that the intention of
Okay.
saying or stressing this one is to give you the understanding. Say in an 1.5 hour session, your presence with us, if you see most of the things practical, when you go back and start doing on your own, you'll have less load on you. That is one thing. You get more out
Yeah.
of training, so that you also will feel confident. When Srinivas was able to do comfortably using the same environment in the session, yes, it is definitely possible with me. That's that's
Agree.
that's number one. You'll be confident. Yes, when Srinivas was able to do comfortable in the session, why can't I do it? On my own? And that
Yeah.
gives enough strength for you to go back and start doing your practice. That's the reason why I do it very practical. Second, when I do something practical, your confidence builds. Oh,
Yes.
this is what the input and this is what the output. Fine, that's absolutely going good as expected. I could see the results. You start coming closer to the technology. When you start coming close to the technology, you establish some kind of affection that turns into love, and the bond established between you and the technology, and you will mature
Yes.
automatically on your own. That's what the fundamental logic behind my, last more than decade and a half, my experience in the industry, both training and IT, has given me enough uh, confidence, right, to give you the stuff. I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So anyone
Yeah.
wants to share your views on big data, that's fine. Otherwise, we move on to the discussion on what is big data and how big data, because we start coming out with our own. We start coming out with our own definitions. Everyone starts coming with their own definitions. Definitely, um, you will be confused. Will be confused, right? Will be definitely confused. What is big data? Because everyone start coming out with our own definition. Say, Sri has expressed something now, Arun has expressed something. If everyone starts coming out with their own perspective on big data, definitely we'll be confused. So not to happen this one, what industry has done is, industry has standardized the definition for big data, so that we'll be in the groove. Everyone will follow the same semantics. That makes more sense. So let us see the industry definition a bit later. But before that, it is my practice all the times, when you hear this kind of technical term, or when you come across this kind of technical term, which you fail to understand directly on its own, it's always good. This is one good thing that we can learn from Britishers who ruled us for more than 200 years. Okay, so when you fail to understand something on their own, it's good that you divide into parts, and then you conquer it. So divide and rule is the best technique. You try to understand what is data first, add big to that one, understand big data, it becomes easy for you. That's what my view in simplifying how you can understand big data. As part of that, let me share this with you. Let me make you to understand what is data first. Look at this slide very closely. You have something at the very lowest. When data is processed in the given context, it gives you information. When information is synthesized further, it gives you knowledge. When knowledge is further synthesized, it gives you wisdom. With wisdom only we make a right or wrong decisions, whatever. So to put the organization or to decide the fate of the organization, directly or indirectly, data is a base. I hope all of you agree, friends. So with this, you can clearly understand data is the foundation. This slide definitely gives you the sound understanding. Data is the base or the foundation. No data, no information, no knowledge, no wisdom, you'll not be able to make any decision, and the future of the organization will be in dark. So I want to clearly bring it to your notice, data is very essential. From data only we get the information. With information only we acquire knowledge. Through knowledge only we gain wisdom. With the wisdom only we make the decisions to put the organization in the right way. So this slide gives you much more understanding how data, I mean, this pyramid gives you the understanding, at least. This is what we call it as DIKW model. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom. DIKW model. So we have understood and appreciated that data is very essential ingredient. Let us try to understand what is data. Data is raw, unorganized facts that need to be processed. And processed data is what we call it to be the information. I tried my best to give you a simple understanding of what is data. Each student's test score is one piece of data. May not be meaningful to anyone. Each student's test score may not be meaningful to anyone, but the class average score or the school average score makes sense. Based on the class average score, the teacher can decide, oh, in maths, the average score is 55. So what needs to be done in the context of maths? Or the school pass percentage, average pass percentage is 75 or 65. So
Sorry.
yeah. So data may not be much meaningful to you, but when the same is being processed, it gives you the information which may be. So with this, you can clearly understand data is essential ingredient, and it cannot be used directly in every context. It needs to be synthesized. These are the two things that we can learn from these basic slides. So these are the two things that we can identify from these slides. What is data and how data is so important. Now to the same data, we add something called big. It turns into big data. So that is what I mentioned just before. Big data is something which has been standardized by the industry. Is anything which has got three essential characteristics. Big data is anything which has three essential characteristics: volume, variety, and velocity are the three essential characteristics with which we define something called big data. Big data. Let us talk about each V in detail. So what is big data now? Is anything. So big data is anything which has got three essential characteristics. Is anything which has got three essential characteristics: volume, and the second one is variety, and the third one is one second. The third one is velocity. Volume, variety, and velocity, which in short we call it as three V's. Three V's. Of course, these V's are getting extended time to time. These V's are getting extended time to time in the form of value, viscosity, and veracity. Of course, these V's are getting extended, but these are the three core V's with which big data is being defined by the industry: volume, variety, and velocity. Let us talk about each thing a bit in detail. So compared to the books, what you have in your shelf, the books here are more in volume. So this gives you one understanding. Volume is not an absolute term. Volume is always a relative term. It's always a relative. Compared to the data, what you have on your laptop, maybe a small organization may have more data. Compared to that, a big organization may have more data. Compared to that, a corporate may have more data. So it's all by comparison. There is no such thing called absolute. Now the question is, when the volume of the data is growing day by day, the volume of the data coming to the organization is growing day by day, what is the impact of that? You see that one very closely here. This is a graph which is showing very clearly the volume of the data coming into the organization day by day, is going up, but the ability to process this data with the existing infrastructure is coming down day by day. As a result, you see there is a gap between the data available to the organization and the ability to process the data. The small gap that arises between these two is what we technically call it to be blind zone. Till we process the data, we should feel there is gold inside the data. We come to know whether the data is useful or useless only now when you process the data. Till then you should feel there is gold inside it. So you look at this discussion, you should understand and appreciate your volume is throwing me a problem where we store this data. When the volume of the data is growing beyond some limit, where you store this data? Until and unless you store the data, you will not be able to process it. So processing the data, we think at the later stage, if you are able to successfully store it. When the volume of the data grows beyond some limit, where you store this data? How you store this data? How you capture this and preserve it so that it can be processed in different contexts, different dimensions to extract the meaningful insight of it. So your volume is throwing me where you store this data. Please keep this thing in the mind, friends. We come back to this again. And this volume is throwing me one more issue. If you're not able to process the data coming into your box every day, say you are getting 2 GB of data every day, but with your existing infrastructure, I'm talking about your IT landscape, you are able to process only 1.8 GB data. The 0.2 GB data which is left unprocessed today, tomorrow, the following day, the data gets accumulated over a period of time. You have GBs of data which is left unprocessed. I don't know what you do, but you need to make sure that this blind zone needs to be eliminated. If it is not possible for you to eliminate this, at least keep this at a minimal scale. If possible, eliminate this blind zone. Not possible, maintain this at a very minimal level so that you will not have much gray area. That is what you need to understand, the implication of your volume part. The other one, variety. I'm trying to make you to understand what are the different varieties of data you have. Of Of course, this is limited, more varieties than what I'm trying to show you here. Alone in the image itself, you see you have GIF, JPEG, PNG, BMP. In the text, you see you have .txt, RTF, DOC, whatnot, varieties of data. Now, you take your traditional RDBMS. I'm not here to degrade RDBMS or your existing infrastructure. I'm not trying to market any product here, but we are trying to understand what the limitations we have with our existing infrastructures or existing technologies or components. So with your existing database, you see, you are going to define the database in advance. So I want to store this kind of data. You define that, it's type, everything, you define it clearly there. You are allowed to store only that kind of data in a specific field or in a specific cell. You cannot store anything beyond that. So what you define, same you are able to store. You cannot store anything beyond, but you are not sure what kind of data you are getting. How you can store varieties of data as part of your storage, not just accommodating volume of data, how you can accommodate wide varieties of data as part of your storage. So how to accommodate wide varieties of data. How to accommodate wide varieties of data, which means your storage should not say for example, if you take your DB is going to restrict saying I allow only this kind of data to be stored now. You want to store a different type of data, you need to specify that. What you specify, that only it is going to allow you to store. So I don't want to encounter any sort of constraints. I allow only this kind of data to be stored. Let the data be anything, like how your hard drive, your plain hard drive attached to your laptop is not going to say I allow only some data to be stored. No, it never says that. Any kind of data is allowed to be stored. Same like your storage space also should not put any constraint. I allow only this type of data to be stored. There should not be any constraint on it. So that's what my variety. So variety is showing me, if at all if you come across wide varieties of data, how you store these wide varieties of data. So if you observe these two things closely, both volume and variety are throwing me the problems related to storage only. So these are the two things related to storage. Where you store huge volume of data, how you store wide varieties of data is what. And coming to the third one is the velocity. I don't know how you apply the term called velocity to the data. Velocity can be applied to any moving object, a car, a vehicle, something which is moving. You can apply the term called, because you might have studied the basic physics at your very young age. Velocity is a vector. It is not a scalar. It has got both magnitude and direction. Speed is a scalar. Velocity is a vector. How this term called velocity can be applied to your, data. Friends, please feel free to express. You can unmute yourself, friends, and share with me how velocity can be applied to your data here. Neil or Vinesh, Kirtan, anyone, friends. Let us make this discussion a more interactive one rather than a one-sided, a one-man show kind of. Yeah, wonderful, Arun.
So I think the velocity applies to, the data is not static. It is changing at a constant rate, right? I mean, what data I receive now is different from what I'll receive tomorrow, what I'll receive the next minute. So I think that's where the velocity comes in, rapidly changing information or data.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Narayan. And how that is been applied here, I mean, there is a very great reason why I'm showing you this diagram. Let me narrate a small, context here, a brief context here. You're back from the office today, assume, and you switched on the TV. Someone reading the news, and you're watching it. And what they're saying on the screen, yesterday there was heavy rain in the city. Please try to understand the statement, friends. Yesterday there was heavy rain in the city. Does it make any sense to us? We already enjoyed it. We already experienced it. No point someone saying yesterday there was heavy rain. We already experienced it. It makes more sense, or we love to hear from someone saying tomorrow morning between 10 and 11 there will be heavy rain in these parts of city. Makes sense, right, Arun? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, it does.
So tomorrow morning between 10 and 11, see that statement, so precise. Between 10 and 11, you see, you will have heavy rain in these parts of city. If you have planned to visit those parts of city, or you're moving around, then you are well prepared. You are well prepared, or you may be postponing it. That's what I mean by velocity here. You look at this diagram very closely. From different weather sensors, we are getting the data into the box. I mean into your server. If your server takes 24 hours time to process the data and give or share the results with the end users, by the time you have shared the results, the disaster has already happened. The disaster has already happened by the time you shared the results. Disaster has already happened. So it makes no sense. So the speed or the rate at which the data is coming into your box, at the same rate you must be able to process that. That is why the term called velocity been introduced to the context of data here. The rate at which the data is coming into your box, at the same rate you must be able to process that. So the term called velocity is not related to storage. It is related to, the term called velocity is related to your processing. Your volume is related to storage. Your variety is related to storage, but your velocity is related to processing. I hope you are able to understand very clearly, friends, here. The three V's that are being used to define big data, volume, variety, and velocity, are the three ways with which big data is being defined. We can give a statement like this: big data is anything which has got three essential characteristics: volume, variety, and velocity. Three essential characteristics. On the top of these three V's, we may derive value, viscosity, veracity. The V's are getting extended time to time. But these three V's are the core V's with which we define something called big data. That is how industry has defined something called big data. Your volume is related to storage, your variety is related to storage, and your velocity is related to your processing. Now tell me, friends, what is big data? What is your perspective towards big data? Is big data a technology? Is big data a platform? Is big data a tool for you to do something? What is big data? Vinesh, Neil, and we have Kirtan. Okay, big data is a framework. I appreciate it because we are here to learn something, right? I mean, Even if it is wrong or right, we don't mind. I appreciate, if you're able to bring out your views. Vinish, please feel free, friends, to express your views. Maybe some of you might have already done enough homework about big data. It may be very odd to you, but bear with me, friends. What is big data? Is it a platform, a technology, a tool with which you do something? We have, yeah, Vinish, appreciate. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of technology and processing mechanism. It's kind of a framework, we can say. Like,
That's really very, very interesting to hear from your end, Vinish. Yeah, wonderful. So kind of framework, right? Please don't mistake me. I'm not. My interest is not to, say that hey, you're all wrong. No, that's not my interest. I really appreciate, I respect all your views. After all, we are here to mature our skill set. I appreciate. Yeah, Neil, anything from your end? What about, because we discussed about big data for the last 15-20 minutes at least. What is big data? Marcin, um, sorry that you might have joined a bit late. Marcin, yeah, I unmuted you. You can speak. Marcin, that's fine. That's fine. So I appreciate. So big data, if you observe closely, and this is not to discourage any of you or say specifically that you are wrong. That's not my intention. This is the wrong concept that is what is getting circulated. That is what is getting circulated all the times. I want you to come out of that. After this discussion, whatever we made till now, you definitely should understand big data is a problem statement. Big data is a problem statement related to storage and processing. And what this problem statement states is, how you store a huge volume of data, how you store wide varieties of data, how you quickly process huge volume and wide varieties of data is what we have discussed till now, right? Where you are going to store this huge volume of data. Tell me the place where you store this. Is it the database? No. If your data grows beyond the manageable limit of your database, where you store that? And how that storage is going to accommodate any kind of data to be stored. And how you can quickly process this data. These are all the challenges that what your big data is posing. So big data is a problem statement surrounding two aspects called storage and processing. Again, in storage, how you store or where you store huge volume of data, and how you store wide varieties of data. And the other one is how you process, how quickly you process this data and bring the meaningful information out of it. And to this problem statement, there is an open source solution called Hadoop. There is an open source solution called Hadoop. Because when I use a term called Hadoop, I implicitly mean core. where you have HDFS and MapReduce. HDFS is to store and MapReduce is to process. So both your storage and processing are well addressed using an open source solution called Hadoop. Now I need not tell you what relationship exists between big data and Hadoop. What relationship exists, friends? What relationship exists between big data and Hadoop? We have understood clearly what is big data, and I just introduced what is Hadoop. When I use the term called Hadoop, I implicitly mean core only. I mean HDFS and MapReduce. So big data is a problem statement. Hadoop is an open source solution to address that problem statement. Can I say like that? I'm not trying to convince you, friends. I'm just trying to bring it to your notice to make you to understand what is big data and what is Hadoop, what kind of relationship exists between these two, big data and Hadoop. Any questions, friends, you have on what we discussed till now? Kirtan, Neil, Vinesh, please feel free, friends. You can unmute yourself because I kept everyone on. Yeah. Three, you can mute yourself so that you can unmute whenever you want. Three. Three, you can mute, Srinivas, you can mute yourself so that whenever you want, you can unmute yourself. Yeah, that's wonderful. So please, friends, let us make this discussion to be more interactive so that I understand what exactly you are looking at. So otherwise, my demo will be more generic and most of the stuff you may be already aware. So I don't want that to happen. So I don't mind discussing anything as part of this demonstration. No issues, see, I understand. So at least if you are clear with what I discussed, I started my discussion with what is big data, what is Hadoop, how big data and Hadoop are related to each other, what relationship exists between these two. At least I feel, I've done the justification to what the point or the statement that I made in the beginning of my discussion. What is big data and what is Hadoop? Big data is anything which has got three essential characteristics: volume, variety, and velocity. Volume, variety, and velocity are throwing me the problems. Where you store huge volume of data and how your storage is going to allow you to store any kind of data and how quickly you process the data are the challenges which are encountered by analyzing your volume, variety, and velocity. Then I realized big data is not a technology, big data is not a platform, big data is not a tool, big data is a problem statement surrounding storage and processing. To this problem statement, the open source solution is your open source solution is your Hadoop. So Hadoop is an open source solution to the problem statement called big data. What you have as part of Hadoop? When I'm saying Hadoop, I implicitly mean by core. As part of Hadoop, you have HDFS called as Hadoop Distributed File System, a file system which is distributed across multiple machines in the context of Hadoop. Hadoop Distributed File System, a file system distributed across multiple machines. When you fail to store your entire data on one machine, when you fail to get your work done through one person, you appoint two people to get your things done, three people to get your work done, four people to get your work done. You divide your work into four pieces, give it to each, you monitor, you get the work from them and you assemble it, get your things done. Same we are trying to apply here. When you fail to store your data on one machine, you cut your data into small parts and store on each machine where you are able to store. At times when you require, you can bring the small pieces from different machines, put together, process it, or process there itself. We talk about those things later, friends, don't worry. Once you are able to successfully store your data, you can think about how that can be processed very fast. How data processing can be done very fast, because your MapReduce is going to make use of a technique called massive parallel processing. In short, I call it as MPP, massive parallel processing. We'll have a wonderful discussion on this massive parallel processing practically to understand what it is basically. Don't worry, friends. But this MapReduce is a framework with which you can process the data very fast compared to any other contemporary distributed computing techniques. MapReduce has got a wonderful life cycle with which data crunching is going to be very efficient and fault tolerant. Even your storage is fault tolerant, because when you start storing your huge volume of data on multiple machines, hundreds of machines, one machine getting failed every time is not an abnormal thing. Even if one machine is down for any reason, still your cluster is made available to you for your usage. Every time there is a node down or a machine down, your cluster is not available for usage, there is no point in, because when you're maintaining hundreds of nodes, one node getting down every often and then is not a very abnormal thing. So your Hadoop is developed in such a way it is fault tolerant, highly scalable. So we talk about all its richness probably as part of our sessions very practically. But with this discussion, I personally feel I was able to establish the relationship between big data and Hadoop. So big data is a problem statement. To have an open source solution for this problem statement, you have something called Hadoop. When I use the term called Hadoop, I implicitly mean HDFS and MapReduce. That is what I call it to be Hadoop core. So as part of this ecosystem, and you may ask me one thing, these are the statistics sometime back. Though these are the statistics sometime back, but it makes more sense. How this huge volume of data is getting generated, why you are getting wide varieties of data, is because in 1 minute of time, these statistics are not recent statistics, friends. This is only to make you to understand. In 1 minute of time, on a Facebook platform, 2,77,000 logins happen. You may ask me one thing. What happens, Srinivas, if 2,77,000 logins happens? I tell you, I think all of you has got Facebook account. You might be using it. If you're not active on Facebook for the last 10 days, assume, you get a reminder mail from Facebook saying, we miss you on Facebook, we love to see you back on Facebook. Something like this, a reminder mail will come to your email if you're not active on Facebook. If you understand that mail very properly, you will come to know Facebook knows that you are not active on its platform for the last 10 days, which means your last login is being tracked by them when you are logged in. That is how they come to know that you are not active for the last 10 days. Your last login. So which means every time when you log in, it is being tracked. From where you are logged in, through which device you logged in, all those details being tracked. So which means every time a person log in, there is a record being created. So every minute, 1 minute, if there are 2,77,000 logins happens, so 2,77,000 records are being created. But tell me, friends, just by logging, are you going to be silent? We will not be silent after logging into Facebook platform. We post something, we chat with the friends, or upload photographs, do various things on Facebook platform after logging in. Every of your action generates the data. So in 1 minute, if you have 2,77,000 records into 60, into 24, into 365, into I need not tell you, only based on logins, how much data might have been generated. So it's only a simple thing, login, but how much data is getting generated from social media, like Facebook kind of thing. Even you take YouTube, every minute globally around 30 hours of high definition video is getting uploaded to YouTube. Because I am uploading, you are uploading, different people uploading. Every minute onto the YouTube, 30 hours of high definition video is coming. 30 hours of high definition video is coming into YouTube every minute, into 60, into 24. How much video is coming into YouTube every day? This is what I mean by huge volume, wide varieties of data. So I did not tell you why your existing infrastructure fails to store or process such huge volumes of data. I need not tell you now. I think you got the better understanding of what exactly I'm trying to share with you here. Huge volume and wide varieties. Look at this one. This is what your Hadoop ecosystem is. At a very grassroots level, you have data storage, could be your HDFS. Very similar to HDFS, you have something called simple storage service from Amazon, or it could be HBase, structured storage for Hadoop, that is called HBase, NFS with Mapr, Cloud Store. More or less all these storage techniques are very much nearer to your HDFS. You learn HDFS today, let the storage be anything, you'll be able to quickly understand, maybe few differences we have, we can easily grasp those things. Once you understand HDFS, all the remaining storage techniques are more or less the same. So we need not worry much about that. On the top of storage, we have data processing. That is your MapReduce framework. On the top of data processing, we have data access, where you have Hive, Pig, and all these things. And on the top of data access, we have data management, where we have Oozie, Flume, Zookeeper, and all. On the top of data management, you have data analytics. This is what is your entire Hadoop ecosystem. So as part of our program, we are going to see every layer. Every layer we are going to see. We are going to learn HDFS, overview of HBase. We see as a developer how you can interact with HBase, what programming is required to interact with HBase we'll be seeing as a developer. Because HBase has got two aspects again. HBase administration you have, HBase development you have. We'll be concerned, or we'll be looking only into the developer part, but not the HBase administration. MapReduce, we talk very, very in detail. We learn a Hive, we learn Pig, we learn Avro, we learn Scoop. Of course, Mahout we may not be learning because that is a part of machine learning. We may not be learning. But if any of you are interested to learn Mahout, I can give the big picture of Mahout, how it can be used on the top of your data processing to crunch your data. Then we talk about Oozie, we talk about Flume, Zookeeper, EMR, Chukwa will not be discussing, but all these are the part of the ecosystem because they are more or less similar. So we need not learn. When we are learning about Flume, I need not learn again Kafka or something like that. They are contemporary. They are like peas, used for different contexts, different needs, but if you learn how you ingest the data into your HDFS using Flume, you also can understand how Kafka can be used to ingest the data into your HDFS. And on the top of that, we have data analytics. Very interesting, friends, I want to share with you here. We will be having at least 1 or 2 sessions as part of our course, which is not been mentioned as part of the courseware, but we want to give 1 or 2 sessions using Tableau or ClickView. We will be having 1 or 2 sessions on Tableau or ClickView at the end of the program to make this stack to be complete. This is not to attract you to the program, friends. You are seeing here very clearly from storage to analytics. What is this? This is a complete big data stack or Hadoop stack, you call it as. So you need to understand the data that you are keeping on your storage, how you process it directly using MapReduce, how you process that using Hive indirectly, how you manage that using Uzi, how you analyze that at your analytics level. If you are able to understand all these things one after the other, you will get a strong hold. So tomorrow you go to the workplace, you will not be feeling anything different. And we also will be giving you the understanding how you are going to have. I can show you here. We have something here. We have a live cluster here, and we are going to set up the environment on your laptops, pseudo cluster on your laptops. You can start practicing. We have a multi-node cluster, live cluster. Like this, we have 3 clusters, multi-node clusters we have. And we will be setting up the roles to make you to understand how your production environment is going to be. As part of our training program itself, you will come to know what is the live cluster. So we have altogether 3 varieties: standalone mode, pseudo cluster. Standalone, anyhow, we are not going to talk because that is only to quickly run your MapReduce jobs and see how your MapReduce jobs are functioning. We will be working closely with the pseudo cluster, which we will be setting up on every of your laptop for your continuous practice. We are going to give you the understanding of how the live cluster, and we are also going to give you the access to this cluster so that you can log in and play around with it, so that you understand. Tomorrow when you go to the workplace, you should not feel anything different. How you have the masters. On the master, you're going to set up some services, and on the slaves, you're going to set up some services, and how these are accessible to me, how I am able to access my, and I connect to this cluster using my terminal, and I connect to my cluster to my, say, 42 is the slave what I have. I connect to that one. I start running or executing my commands, like how you work with your ls kind of commands, same like you're going to work with your Hadoop fs-ls at the root level. What is the file system you have? You are seeing here, this is a live cluster to which I've connected now. Like how you are saying ls at the root level, this is a Linux command, and your Hadoop fs-ls and /, this is your HDFS command. At the root level of HDFS, what file system we have. So we are going to learn Linux commands in detail. We are going to work with your HDFS commands in detail, and you get the practice on your pseudo cluster, you get the practice on your live cluster, and you yourself will come to know, is there any difference? If there is difference, what kind of difference you have between your pseudo cluster and the live cluster, all you will be able to get during your practice itself. That makes you to be more confident, because in the interview, more than your knowledge, your confidence plays a vital role. If you are confident in giving the answer, sometimes the interviewer might be thinking, oh, when you are giving the answer so confident, yes, that might be right. Even most of the times as part of the interviews, people are not so matured because the technology itself is a new technology, and you cannot expect people having 15-18 years experience in Hadoop. Anyone you see, hardly they may have 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, but definitely you will not see a person having 15 years experience in big data. Big data is not in existence last 15 years. So how confident you are. So as a trainer, I want all my participants to gain that confidence when you face the interview. And that definitely, you need not hit 10 interviews to be successful. Even in the first, second interview, you should be able to clear and get the opportunity to work in the big data space. So as part of your training program, you are not going to just learn the technology, you also will gain the confidence. And I give you a classical example here, friends. You finish your 10th, you already finished your 10th, you are in the engineering now, you again take your 10th class exams, you definitely will get the state rank. But why you haven't got the state rank when you are in your 10th class? You understand that what we are going to do as part of our training, you definitely will understand. I will make you one step ahead so that facing the interviews becomes an easy task for you. This is a small, simple technique which is known to everyone, but I want that to be implemented practically as part of our training program. If you are one step ahead of the need in the industry, to face the interviews, you are definitely successful. That's what we are going to do as part of our training program. You are not going to just learn the course from us, you are going to gain the confidence to face any kind of challenge in the interview. You will be confident to face any kind of question. So that is what we do as part of our training program. So as part of this ecosystem, you see, you have storage, you have processing, you have access, you have management, you have analytics. We are going to see, as part of our program, we are going to see from storage till analytics, so that you understand, oh, this is how I am storing my data. This is how I am storing my data. Let me show you that here, friends, very clearly. So I ingest the data. I ingest, that is what I call it as ingest. I ingest the data using my Flume. So using my Flume, we are going to see practically how I can use Flume to ingest the data into HDFS. From a live source like Twitter, we are going to configure the Flume, get the data from Twitter and put it in HDFS. We see that practically. Then you understand, oh, this is how I can bring data and put it inside my HDFS. What data I keep inside my HDFS? This data is been processed using my MapReduce, that is MR. And how this data can be processed using your pig, how this can be processed using your hive. And I'm going to even show you how your pseudo cluster is going to be. This is what I've shown you now. The same like we can have even a pseudo cluster. How I can make use of my pseudo cluster to gain the momentum. Practice even offline. Even if you're not online, still you are able to practice with Hadoop with the help of your pseudo cluster setup. This is what your pseudo cluster is. What I'm showing you now here, this is my live cluster running on 5 nodes, altogether 6 nodes what I have as part of this one. Whereas what I'm showing you now is a pseudo cluster which can be set up on every of your laptop. Even you can work offline. You can do practice. You can take small data sets and crunch those data sets and see how processing can be done using various components, what I'm trying to mention here. How you work with MapReduce, how you work with Pig, Hive, and how you work even with components like Scoop, Uzi, Zookeeper, and Flumenia I mentioned here, how we work with Avro, and we see interesting use cases so that we understand, oh, this is how this big data is being used. This is how this big data is being used as part of the industry. This is how it is being used. You come to know very clearly. We do a couple of use cases to understand how big data is being used in the real time. Then you understand, oh, this is how I get the data, how I store it in my HDFS. Now, how I process that one, and how I automate that one, and how I can schedule my jobs, and how I can initiate those jobs based on my requirement. All those things you'll be seeing as part of our training program. And please friends, don't think that these are exhaustive components and each component require extensive skill set. No, these are all small components which can be mastered very easily. And this is what your pseudo cluster is. I hope you're able to see the things, friends. Here this is a pseudo cluster, and here also the same what we did before. Hadoop fs-ls, I say what is there at my root level on my pseudo cluster. I'll be able to see Hadoop fs-ls at the root level what file system I have. This is my pseudo cluster, the same environment we are going to simulate. Yeah, it is actually, I need to start my cluster. You mean so we'll talk about this one, friends. Um, it's getting connected. It's getting connected to the cloud manager. It takes time because this being a pseudo cluster, because of the limited resources you have, I think you might have noticed here. That is the reason why we are going to give you the access to the fully distributed mode. When you're online, you can access your fully distributed mode and you don't need to have any setup. You can you use this a hyperlink, you connect to this one and you work with it. You can comfortably work with it, right? So you offline, when you want to practice something, you can have your pseudo environment set up on your laptop. You can practice with that. Even after finishing the course, you want to do some practice. If your pseudo cluster is available on your machine, you'll be able to do your practice comfortably. So as part of our program, we are going to see all these things except Mahout, EMR and Chukwa. We are going to see all the stuff. Few things not being shown here, even those things we are going to see as part of our training program. I hope you have understood, friends, what we are going to see as part of our discussion. Hope this has definitely given you the understanding that what is big data, how big data is connected to what is big data, and how big data is connected to Hadoop. As part of Hadoop ecosystem, what components we have and how those components are being arranged as part of the stack, and what we are going to see as part of our course. Apart from these things, friends, it is not to attract you to the program, because these days as interviewers are keen to know whether you have any knowledge on Spark and Scala. So to give you the understanding what is Spark and how you can write programs using Spark, in what way your Spark is better than your MapReduce, and what are the contexts we use Spark and what are the contexts we use MapReduce. So as part of the training program, we are going to see the big picture of Spark and Scala. The overview of Spark and Scala we'll be seeing as part of our training program at no additional cost, because tomorrow when you take some interview, you cannot be blind saying, no, I don't know anything about Spark. At least you should be able to say, yes, I know what is Spark, I know how to use it, I know how to write the programs, I know how to run those programs. I don't have work experience on Spark, but I know what Spark is. You should be able to talk at least that. Interviewer is not interested to know that on every component you have extensive work experience. You may have work experience, or you can claim that you have work experience on a couple of components, and all the other components you have enough knowledge to work on it any point of time. If you are able to exhibit that experience or that expertise or that confidence, yes, you are done. And there are cases, friends, in the past. In the first interview itself, some of my participants, they were able to crack the interview in the very first attempt itself. And they were able to clear the certifications very easily. Our training program is aimed even towards the certification. Anyone who is interested to take up your Cloudera certification, we are with you till you clear your certification, friends. We are with you till you clear your certification. Our relationship is not going to end just by finishing the course. Our relationship is going to be continued till you are being placed. I'm not here to convince you, because tomorrow you are going to talk to the same Srinivas. Hey Srinivas, in the demo you said all these ABC. Where ABC are there? You have every right to ask me. I'm not promising you that I give you the job or I provide you the job, but I'm promising you whatever you require, to get into the job. Yes, we are there with you till you are successful. Along with this thing, very happy to share with you, we have a small consulting activity which is going to help you in circulating your resumes to all our known contacts, because personally I have done quite interesting POCs with different clients across US, and all my resources who got trained through me are at various levels now, and our wings been spread across length and breadth of the entire Hadoop ecosystem in various organizations. So we have enough capability and reachability to circulate your resumes to get you the leads to face the interviews, and in most cases, the person who is going to take the interview might be, a student sometime back to me in some or other form. So you will be even accessing that privilege. So I'm not promising you anything that I put you in the job, but what all required, essential to get you into the job, all been done as part of the training program. Apart from these, if any of you has got your specific needs, you are coming to the training with some specific need, don't hesitate to bring it to our notice. If it is possible, probably end of the session or end of the program, extending 2 or 3 sessions more, we love to hear all those things from your end if you have any specific needs. If it is something beyond our reach or not possible, that's different, but something which is possible from our end, we love to hear from you and address those things. And that, because our goal is not to just train you and leave you, we want to see you as Hadoopers, Hadoop developers. And the most interesting thing that you need to understand, though the program, I mean, my colleagues named this program as Hadoop developer, but as part of the program, you will be learning bit of administration, Hadoop administration. What I'm trying to show you here is the same thing. This is your Cloudera manager, where you are going to manage your cluster. You add the services, how you add the services, and how you manage the services. What are the hosts you have? How you are going to deploy various roles on the host, and what you do with all these things you'll be seeing as part of our program. So this gives you the confidence. Oh, what is the role of an admin? What task he is going to do? So you'll be, you may not become a 100% Hadoop admin, but you will be understanding what an admin can do. You'll be gaining the big insight of admin. So as part of this program, though it has been tagged as developer, you'll be learning something about administration and even the other thing called Spark and Scala. That's the uniqueness of our training program. And why we do this is to ease, because interviewer, any interviewer, typically he expects you to be thorough with 10, 20, 30 technologies. Interviewer always is keen to take a person with more skill set, whether he is going to use all those skill sets at the workplace or not, but during the interview he expects you to know different things. So until and unless you clear the interview, you will not be able to go to the workplace. That is the reason why we want our resources to be trained across length and breadth of the components, so that it will be very easy for you to face the interviews. So hope my demonstration has given you enough inputs. Now I love to hear from your end, friends. Any questions you have, you want me to address some specific things, or you have any predefined questions in the mind which you want me to address, I don't mind. Please, I love to hear from your end, friends. Now,
So, hi Srinivas, this is Arun here.
Yeah, Arun. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, so quick question, just on the course.
Yeah.
So the course duration is an hour and a half, right? Three times a week.
True.
And you're saying it's going to take how many hours totally to get to the to complete this
40
course?
hours, around 40 hours. Maybe it may go few hours more,
Okay.
depending on the ability of the participants. Because sometimes what happens, you know, you will have all matured resources in the batch. So we go a bit, different. It all depends on the ability of the participants in understanding the concepts. So slightly, you know, 3-4 hours this way, that way, but around 40 hours it takes to finish this program.
So in the event I'm not able to attend one of the sessions, how do I make up for it? Is there a recording that I can use?
Absolutely no problem, Arun. I appreciate, you know, the question you asked, which is even a query to many others. Every session is recorded. Every session is recorded and being made available to you. Even if you miss a session, before you join the next session, you can watch that recording. You can attend the session. End of the next session, you are going to ask all the questions you have on that, and I'll be able to address those.
Okay, and you'll be taking the session throughout, right? There is no other instructor coming in.
No, absolutely no, absolutely no.
Okay.
We are not interested to promise something now and deliver something else, Arun, because that will be definitely embarrassing. Tomorrow you raise something, hey Srinivas, you said something in the demo. That is where I mentioned all these things very clearly on the writing board, Arun. I don't want to,
okay.
Because see, course content is something which we publish regularly, but time to time I give new concepts as part of the program, because when we start the training, it may be the level of expectations in the industry is slightly different by the time you finish, and by the time you take the interview, I need to keep that thing in the mind, not the time which you have joined the course. I take that into consideration. It takes 2 months or 2.5 months or 3 months for you from the day you join till you face the interview or till you go to the workplace. That time, what your needs are going to be. Based on that, training, so that it will be more meaningful. To make your, because time is more important than money or other things what you spend. Time what you are shelling out from your busy schedule is more important. So Srinivas, yeah, I appreciate Srinivas. You have any questions to me, please feel free to ask, or you can talk to my colleagues and get all your queries addressed. Even if my colleagues not able to address some of your questions,
Hello?
never mind. You can reach me directly. You can ask. My colleagues will arrange a call with me so that you can clear all your queries. Absolutely no problem. But feel free to clear your queries. That's what. Okay. Hope you enjoyed the demonstration what we had today, Srinivas.
I have questions.
Yeah, Manshin. Yeah, definitely I'll take your question, Manshin. Srinivas,
So,
you have anything? Yeah, go ahead, Manshin. Go ahead.
so how many days is gonna be the class?
So we'll be having the session 3 days a week, 1.5 hour to 2 hours basically, because sometimes when we are in the middle of the concept, I may not be able to break that exactly.
Okay, what day would be there?
So we'll be having two options. We'll be having actually Monday. My colleagues will be explaining you the complete details about the program. It will be alternative days, Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. This is Ilyas. If you guys can hear me, I just want to tell you that this is going to be a 3 days session in a week that is going to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Approximately 6 hours of training, 5 to 6 hours approximately in a week, and we would be completing this in 6 weeks time, a maximum of 7 weeks, I would say, if at all it's going to get extended.
Hello?
Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes. One more
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, please.
things that you need to have Java skills like basic Java, SQL, and the Linux.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the prerequisite. That's the prerequisite for this course.
yeah.
That's so far I know.
Yes, you are absolutely right, Masin. I appreciate. So, see, if you are not that good at Java, you don't know anything about Java, we have wonderful thing. We want to give you the sessions on Java, live sessions on Java, but not as part of this program. Not part of this program. You need to attend separately. That can be based on your comfort again. Java sessions can be dealt comfortably, basic Java sessions. Till you write your MapReduce programs and all, not a complete Java course again. What is essential to write your MapReduce programs? That will be taken care as an integral part of the program. You need not shell out separately for that. And SQL, I hope to most extent you have, but as part of the training itself, when we are talking about Hive and all, SQL has been implicitly covered. So we need not worry how that can be taken care. And Linux, anyhow, as I mentioned, I'm going to share the list of the commands and you have the access to the environment. You can practice those commands. All your queries and questions can be cleared end of the session every day, every session. So Linux should not be a problem. SQL should not be a problem. That will be taken care internally as part of the sessions itself. But something Java, even if you don't have basics, never mind. We have a provision for that. But only thing is we need to know where you are in terms of Java so that we'll be able to address your needs.
Someone from the beginner Java, so
Not an
so
issue
it's
much.
gonna
I'm
be the
sure.
extra class, or
Yeah,
it's gonna be the
exactly, exactly. That cannot be part of this program. You need to take separate sessions, again, based on your comfort, either your early hours or late evening, something of that sort. We have a provision for that. Absolutely, you need not worry.
which is I have to pay separate. You mean?
No. That is an integral part of the program itself. Integral, because without Java basics, you require
Yeah.
write your MapReduce jobs. It will be tough for you to handle. So that is an
Yes.
integral part of the program itself. See, we don't want our participants, to pay separately for every small things. It is an integrated package which comes with Hadoop developer. That is the tagline which we give. But you'll be learning a bit of administration. You'll be getting the big picture of Spark Scala. Is all to face the interview properly. So that's what the purpose, right? Basic purpose of you taking the course from or from anyone in fact.
No, so he's saying the Java, which is how I'm gonna be done with this Java, like what I have to do, what are you gonna provide me, what is that?
No, I didn't get you. In terms of the environment you are saying, or in terms of the sessions you are saying.
No, I'm talking about the Java. So
Yeah,
what I have to do?
So you
yeah, I'm
need not
sorry
do
to
anything.
interrupt you here.
The same
Yeah, so
environment,
we
same
can have
same.
one class
Okay.
scheduled for that,
I'm sorry,
where
I
you
didn't
can
hear.
be part of it.
Go ahead, Elias.
Yeah. So as I was telling Mohsin that we can definitely schedule one few sessions for the basics of Java where you can always be a part of it. And once you enroll with this Hadoop developer training program, I would definitely arrange classes for you. Before we start, you can also be attending those classes for your at your convenient time.
Okay. Also, the last question, for the job market, is it like they're looking for someone who has at least bachelor degree or someone who can get a job with an associate degree, things like that? I don't have bachelor degree, but I do have associate degree from here in the US. So I'm just wondering, is there something that's gonna be stop me taking the class, or what's the? You have any idea?
See, you need to understand one thing here, that how many of the people who are now currently working as a Hadoop developer is carrying this bachelor degree? Because what is important now is that one should have a good knowledge in this Hadoop technology, because this technology is going to rule this entire market.
Okay.
You're absolutely
So
right.
once you become a developer as a fresher, you will definitely get a job. Need not worry about that because the market is too big, right? And you can expect a lot of opportunities in future.
Now, opportunities wise, Marcin, I can tell you, I'm not trying to convince you here. Opportunities wise, this is definitely a, a strong growing industry. Even you take any Gartner reports or anything you take, this is what the industry that is growing exponentially, because this is becoming a very essential environment for every organization, let it be small or big. Let it be a 4-node cluster or a 40-node cluster. Hadoop cluster is going to be a common provision in every organization in coming days. Obviously, the workforce required to work on this platform is going to grow. Day by day. Then only it is possible. The only thing is how well you mature your skill set. That is the only challenge here. If you are able to mature your skill set, yes, you are done.
Okay.
Today you are not aware of Hadoop. Today you are not aware of big data and Hadoop. But after finishing this demo, I think you have got the fair understanding of what is big data and what is Hadoop. As part of Hadoop, what components we have. Same like you spend 1 month with us, you learn all the components, whatever I'm sharing. Obviously, you will be able to get those things done, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
And we are there with you. As I told you, it is not a false promise machine, and our interest is not to drag you to the program. We are with you till you are successful. You are comfortable, you finish the course with us. It is not that you are ending your relationship with us. No. Till you are successful, till you are at the workplace, yes, you can always access us. Even in the coming days, in I say you finish the course with us, for some reason you are not able to master your skill set in one specific subject, my colleague, you can always approach my colleagues. Hey Elias, I'm not really good in these areas, 1-2 areas. Can you please provide me? Never mind, we can put you in the next batch, take those sessions. We may not be able to put you in the entire program again, but we can allow you to take the sessions even in the next batch, so that you can mature your skill set. Because our interest is not to extract something out of you, and we throw you out or something like that. That's not our interest. We want to see all our participants to be Hadoopers, not just learning the technology and leave. That's what our intention, very core intention.
I attended class late, so.
Wonderful, friends. You have any questions, please feel free to ask. My colleagues are always there with you to assist you in every possible. Yeah, Vinish. Yeah, please.
Yeah, a small question. Actually, do our laptop should have some specific configuration or something, or like for example 8 GB or something like that?
Yes.
What about the configuration?
Yeah, 8 GB. Anyhow, all the laptops today are 64-bit. No second thought. So 8 GB is recommended. So that you'll not face any challenges when you're working with a pseudo cluster. Environment on your laptop itself. If at all, if any possibility is there, make it 12 or 16 GB. It will be more comfortable. But 8 GB works fine, right? But you have any challenges in getting your things done? Never mind. Anyhow, environment is going to be taken care from our end to a certain extent. That should not be a problem. That should not be a problem.
Okay. Okay. What about the software request? Maybe Eclipse or.
I am there with you. I am there with you to set up, environment completely on your box. I'm not going to, allocate someone to set up the environment. I'm going to show you practically in the session, taking one of your maybe laptop. I ask you to download things and keep it ready in the before session, so that by the time you come to the next session, all the required softwares are available, and we see practically how those can be set up on your machine. It's not a big process basically, so it's easy to set up. We'll be doing that practically again. not theoretically. And I am going to assist you to set up environment on every of your machines.
Okay. Okay, one more question I have.
Yeah.
We'll be having a cloud or account or something, right?
Yes.
That will be in our name forever, or will be for a short duration or something.
It is forever. Because all these, whatever you are going to use, even you take HDP from Hortonworks, that is Hortonworks data platform, they call it as CDH. I mean Cloudera distribution for Hadoop. Even you take IBM Big Insights and all these are, whatever you are seeing, all these are available as a free versions. Only their enterprise versions are paid versions, but all the versions are, even an enterprise version is available to you for access for 60 days, 30 days, free. So this environment is permanent on your box.
Okay. So we can store as many as data to this cloud data, or is there any limit?
No. You will be having things on your machine itself, on your pseudo cluster itself.
Okay.
So whenever you start that, you'll be able to access all the, whatever the practice you made before. You shut down the VM properly. Next time when you start, it will start comfortably, where you are able to access all your earlier practice comfortably. That will be permanent on your laptop.
Okay, so basically the data, whatever data that we are accessing will be stored in our hard disk, right? Laptop hard disk, right?
Exactly. And we are going to share with you the required data sets time to time, and we are going to share with you the examples time to time, and we'll be having access to the blog, so that you'll be able to access our videos, the material, all the stuff time to time. So you'll not, absolutely, apart from what we are sharing with you, you require something else, please don't hesitate to bring it to our notice, so that we'll try to address those things at our best. Yeah, Vanish.
Yeah, got it.
So wonderful, friends, from every one of you. I appreciate your patience the last more than 1.5 hours. You have taken my demo. Hope you enjoyed my demo. You have any questions to me, please don't hesitate to talk to our colleagues. They're going to help you out in every aspect. You have queries. Even you have queries at the later stage, never mind. Please feel free to bring it to their notice. They are going to help you out. You want to reach out directly? Yes, they can connect to me, or I can take your calls and see how your queries can be addressed. It is not that you need to ask your queries today itself, right? Wonderful, friends.
I have one more questions.
Yeah, Mashin. Yeah, please.
So, is anyone is from non-IT background, or someone is don't know nothing about big data, not even never work as a IT anything,
Yeah.
like any sort of IT. So is that this course will be harder for them, or you think is anyone can learn, or anyone? Oh, I know obvious question or obvious thing that if anyone wants to learn, they can learn. No, nothing is harder, nothing is impossible. But
you are absolutely right.
But on top of that, is it really possible someone like
Yes, is possible, but not with all the components, Marcin. Not with all the components in the ecosystem. There are a few components like Flume and Uzi and your Hive, Scoop. These kind of components, even if you don't have experience in IT, even if you have no eyes, you'll be able to pick up very comfortably. Even HDFS you take, you'll be able to learn comfortably. Only when you come to the MapReduce, as more programming is involved there, it may be difficult for you to cope up. But other components, you can, even if you are from non-IT background, you can fairly get, I don't say that you can master the subject in one single shot, but yes, I'm pretty sure you bring me a challenge like that machine, I'm going to deliver that one for you. If someone is interested to take the program or take the course who are from non-IT background, that is definitely a challenge to me to make them to understand. Yes, I'm ready to take up the challenge and make them to understand and do something in the big data space, even though they are from non-IT background. I'm not promising that I make them like a person who has got experience in IT, but I can make them to work on, maybe it takes more time for them to take the interview or settle down in the big data space, but I can put them on the track. That assurance I can give you at this stage.
All right, thanks.
So wonderful, friends. Appreciate your patience to be with us today to make this demonstration a wonderful thing. Appreciate all of your time, your participation. Please feel free to talk to my colleagues to know further details about the start date, timings, everything. Any questions you have in the mind, please don't hesitate to bring it to our notice so that we'll be able to give you the solution to all your questions. I'm really happy, friends. Though it is a routine process to us, but still, I say, I'm really happy, to give you the demonstration on what is Hadoop and how this Hadoop is going to be a part of the ever-growing industry and the opportunities and what we do as part of our program. Wonderful to share all these things, friends. Have a great day ahead. Love to see you back as part of our training program.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, friend. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arun. Thank you very much, Neil, Sri, Vignesh, Maxine. Thank you very much, Monique. We'll call you back tomorrow. Take care.
Okay, bye.